Hello friends, welcome to our channel Edu Knowledge Hub. Myself Dharmit Patnaik, Assistant Professor in the Department of Pharmaceutics of Bengal School of Technology, welcomes you. Today I am here with a topic that is ICH guideline and about its work product, that is quality and safety. If you will see my last video about the ICH guideline and its overview, in that we have discussed about the definition of ICH, about its committee, about its work structure and about its work product. So in that work product we have discussed that ICH guideline having four different kind of work products. These are quality guidelines, second one is safety guidelines, third one is efficacy guidelines, and the fourth one is multidisciplinary guidelines. So today in this video we will discuss about the work product of ICH, that is quality guidelines and safety guidelines. So let's see the slides. So first one is about the course outcome of this ICH guideline. What we will come to know from this chapter. So from this chapter we will come to know that to understand the importance of ICH, what is the value of ICH and how it is implementation in the pharmaceutical industry. That means how it will be useful and what kind of beneficial we will get or benefit we will get from this ICH. Second one is to appreciate the importance of documentation for quality and safety guidelines under the ICH. And the last one is to understand the responsibility of quality assurance and quality control department in the pharmaceutical industry. So these are the course outcome. We will come to know that we will get the idea from this chapter or from this video. So now first, definition of ICH. So ICH stands for International Conference on Harmonization. It is a technical requirement for the pharmaceutical product for human use. That means if you want to use any pharmaceutical product for the human use, then you have to go for registration. So for this registration process, this International Conference on Harmonization will help you and will guide you these instructions. Now, what is this ICH? ICH is a joint initiative, involves both regulators and research-based industry. And nominally the representatives are from Europe, Japan and United States. In the scientific and technical discussions of testing procedures require the assess and ensure the safety, quality, efficacy of the medicines. How we can input the best quality, best safety to our efficacy to the pharmaceutical formulation. So this is a joint venture of the regulator and research based industry, that is called as the International Conference on Harmonization. Now, what are the work products of ICH guidelines? So nominally the ICH work products are four categories are there, that is called named as or that is called as Q, S, E, M. Q stands for quality, S stands for safety, E stands for efficacy and M stands for multidisciplinary. So first one is quality Q. Q is that is called as the chemical and pharmaceutical quality assurance regarding the stability, regarding the analytical validation. That means how we can inbuild the quality to the pharmaceutical product, that is deals with the quality. Next one is safety. It deals with the in vitro and in vivo preclinical study data or testing data which will help us to determine the carcinogenicity, toxicity, pharmacological study and photo safety. And next one is about the efficacy. Efficacy means it mainly deals with the clinical study in the human beings, and multidisciplinary means it mainly deals with the electronics devices or its standards. So in this video we will discuss about the quality and safety. That means the guidelines which are products of ICH, that is quality and safety. So first we will see about the quality. So quality means if you will see about the guidelines of quality by the ICH, or that is called as the Q series, it is again divided into subcategories, that is Q1 to Q10. So having different products are there, you can see starting from stability, analytical validation, impurities, pharmacopoeias, quality of biotechnological products, specification, GMP, pharmaceutical development, quality risk management and pharmaceutical quality system. So first we will see about this Q1, or that is called as the stability. So if you will see about this Q1, again it is subcategorized into different like Q1 A, B, C, D, E and F. So first one is Q1A, or that is called the stability testing. So mainly it give the guidelines, or it give the documentation for stability testing of new drug substance and its product. Q1B is mainly deal with the photo stability testing of new drug substance and product. Q1C it mainly deals with the stability testing of new drug substances or new doses form. And Q1D is telling about the testing like bracketing or matrix. That means here what is telling, when you are going to check the product or the dosage form, you have to go for collection of samples. So how you can collect the samples? So here what it is telling, the Q&D is prescribing or is guiding the guidelines, or is defining the guidelines. There are two methods are there by which we can collect the samples, that is called as bracketing one method, and second one is matrix method. Detail about these methods we will discuss in the next slide. So this simply it is telling that about the method how to collect the samples. And Q1E is telling about the evaluation of stability data, and Q1F is dealing with the stability data package for registration application in climatic zone 3 and 4. So overall what it is telling, the Q1 or that is quality 1 that deals with the stability. These are subcategorized to defining the quality of the product, or that means how we can improve the stability of the product, or how we can define the stability of the product, that deals with the Q1A to Q1F. So now first, as we discussed about the previous slide, that is about the Q1D is dealing with the collection of sample, how to collect the sample for the testing or for the evaluation. So there are two methods are there, that is called as the bracketing method and matrix method. So first we will see about the bracketing design. So here what it is telling, the dosage form should be classified into three different regions, that is depending on the dose. So let it be example, the dose of a drug A, it is available in the form of 50 mg, 75 mg and 100 mg, and the size of the packaging container is available in 3, 15 ml, 100 ml and 500 ml. So if you will see about the normal sampling method, what you can do is randomly you have to select some of the product from 50 mg, some of the product from 75 mg, some of the product from 100 mg, as well as some of the product from 15 ml, some of the product from 100 ml and some of the product from 500 ml. But here it is telling about the bracketing designing to save the sampling or to save the time, to save the money. So here what it is telling, skipping method. That means here it is telling, you can see here it is telling that the strength and package size, it will be intermediate result, like example 2, 4, 6. So here what it is telling that here 50 mg, 75 mg and 100 mg it is there. So out of that what we can do, for the collection of sample we can select the batch of 50 mg and 100 mg. The intermediate one it will be skip one, or it will be deleted. No need to go for collection of sample from this intermediate batch. So here what we can do, the lowest dose we can take and the highest dose we can take. Again in the same way you can see three different size of the containers are available, 15, 100 and 500. From this again the intermediate one it will be deleted. That means the lowest one 15 ml it will be collected for the sample for the evaluation, and 500 ml it will be collected for the sample. So that means here what it is telling, the table we can indicate that the T stands for the sample tested. You can see that the intermediate batch is deleted or it is skipped for the evaluation study. The first lower one and the highest one we have selected for the collection of sample for the testing. In the same way, if you see about the matrix design, so here what it is telling, the dose it will be classified into strength wise. First one is S1, S2. Again this S1 it will be classified into three different batch, that is batch 1, batch 2, batch 3. So now what will happen, the testing sample time it will be 36 months, 0 to 36 months. So here what it is telling, instead of collecting the sample for each and every time interval, the matrix design is telling that no need to collect the sample for the evaluation each and every time interval. So what we can do, we can see here, you can see that all the samples are collected for the evaluation in the initial state, that is 0, and all the samples are collected for the evaluation study at the last, that is 36. Intermediate one, that means 12 one, on the after completion of 12 months all the samples it will be collected for evaluation. Apart from that the intermediate like 3, 6, 9 and 18, 24, randomly we have selected some of the sample and we can collect it for the, we have done the evaluation study. That is called as the matrix design. The initial, intermediate and the last one, in that measure all the samples will be collected for the evaluation, and after, rather than that, the all the remaining, every time no need to go for the all the samples for the testing. Randomly you can select sample. Like simple example is, after the completion of 3 months we have selected strength 1 batch 2 and strength 2 batch 1. After completion of 6 months, you can see that we have not selected the strength 1 batch 2. We have selected the strength 1 batch 3 and strength 2 batch 1 and strength 2 batch 3. So like this, randomly we can select some of the sample which will reflect the properties of the dosage form, about the stability of the dosage form. Next, Q2, that is called as the validation. So here it is indicating about the, again, the stability, about the validation, about the method, about the proper utilization of method. So here what it is telling, that validation of analytical procedure, that mainly about the text and methodology. The objective of the validation of an analytical procedure is to demonstrate that it is suitable for intended purpose. That means the methodology which you are going to select for the evaluation or for the stability study, it is suitable. So that can be determined by the validation only. So that's why what is telling validation, that means Q2 is important, which will give the validation parameter. That means the parameter which we have to verify in the analytical method, by which we can tell or you can assure that the analytical method is suitable or it is intended purpose. That means for it is useful for our use. It is also discussed about the characteristics that must be considered during the validation of analytical procedure. What are the parameters you have to be evaluated? What are the parameter or what are the characteristics we have to be checked for the analytical method, by which we can tell that the method is well validated or it is completely or accurately validated. That is deals with the quality, that is Q2. Now Q3. Q3 is indicating about the impurities. Impurities in new drug substances. So there are so many sources are there by which the impurities, maybe it will come or it will be produced in the pharmaceutical formulation or in the dosage form. So ICH is telling that the classification of impurities are mainly classified into 3 different types. First one is organic impurities. Organic impurity means that maybe arise or maybe it will come from the process or maybe drug related sources. Second one is inorganic impurities, and third one is residual solvents. So here what is telling, organic impurities and inorganic impurities, that maybe chances are there that impurities it will come from the main drug related source. Residual solvent means that maybe the impurities it will come from the solvents. So here what is telling, Q3A is indicating about the classification of impurities, and Q3B, that is R2, is indicating about the impurities in new drugs product. After the preparation, what kind of impurities are coming out, that you have to evaluate it. And Q3C, it is indicating about the impurities guideline for the residual solvent. What kind of solvent you can use or what kind of impurities chances will be there for the solvent. There are so many solvents you are using or residual solvents you are using in the formulation, in the methods, in the process for the preparation of dosage form. Now next, quality Q4, that is called as the pharmacopoeia. So ICH's main intention in this Q4 is to harmonization of pharmacopoeial data. So as you know that different country having the different pharmacopoeia, like India having Indian pharmacopoeia, United States of pharmacopoeia, your European pharmacopoeia, British pharmacopoeia, different countries, there are different regulatory bodies, they are following the different pharmacopoeia. So the main goal or main documentation is to here to evaluation and recommendation of pharmacopoeial test for use in ICH region. That means the main intention of this addition of this Q4 by the ICH is that they will prepare a single guideline or the recommendation or the evaluation method which will be acceptable by all these 3 regions like Europe, Japan and America. This document describe a process for the evaluation and recommendation given by the Q4B, or that is by the expert working group of ICH for selecting the pharmacopoeial text to facilitate their recognition by the regulatory authorities for use interchangeable in the ICH region. That means the data or the method which can be interchanged in the ICH region So that's why this Q4 is included, which will give a harmonized data which will be acceptable by all these three regions of ICH. Now Q5 is dealing with the quality of biotechnological product. So again this Q5 is subclassified into different category like Q5A to Q5E. So first one we'll see Q5A. It is mainly deal with the viral safety evaluation of biotechnological product which are derived from the cell or for the human or animal origins. So here it is telling that how we can evaluate it, by which we can say the safety about the biotechnological product, that is called as the Q5A. Q5B is mainly dealing with the analysis of the expression construct in the cell used for the production of rDNA derived protein product. How we are going to analyze it? How we are going to analyze the cells which are used for the production of rDNA which are derived from the proteins? So that is called as the methods of Q5B. It is telling Q5B. Q5C is dealing with the stability testing of biotechnological product or biological product. How we can check the stability of the biotechnological product. Q5D is mainly deals with the derivation and characterization of cell substrate used for production of biotechnological. And so here what is telling that Q5D is what kind of properties we are going to check it. Derivation and characterization of cell substrate which are used for the production of biotechnological product. So that means how you can derive it or how you can characterize that yes the substrate which you are going to use for the production is good or bad. Q5E is mainly dealing with the comparability of biotechnological and biological product which are subject to changes in their manufacturing process. Comparability we can check it. Next Q6, that is deals with the specifications. Specification for acceptance, specification for qualification. That means what is the acceptance criteria or selection criteria on which basis we can say that it is qualified or rejected, or it is accepted or rejected. So this is mainly applicable or useful for the new drug substance or new drug product. So Q6A mainly deals with the test procedures and acceptance criteria for new drug substance in new drug product. Q6B is mainly deals with the test procedures and acceptance criteria for the biotechnological or biological product, or that is about the chemical substances. That means Q6A deals with the new drug substance in new drug product. Q6B is special category, that is deals with the biotechnological or biological product. Now Q7, that is deals with the GMP. GMP means good manufacturing practice. So if you are telling that through this ICH you are going to input the or you are going to inbuild the quality to the dosage form, so compulsory you have to follow the GMP. Without GMP we cannot inbuild the quality into the dosage form. So for input of this quality through the GMP we need some kind of facilities, we need some kind of process by which you can input the quality. That is called as the guideline which will give the active pharmaceutical ingredient. The main objective of this guideline is that to maintain the quality of the active pharmaceutical ingredients. Examples: personnel like experienced personnel, building and facilities which are most important to inbuild a quality into a pharmaceutical dosage form, process equipment, highly skilled or highly advanced equipments are necessary, and the last one and the important one is documentation and records which are most important, which are necessary when we are going for the registration of our pharmaceutical product for human use. Without the documentation or without the records we cannot justify your product's quality. Next one is quality or Q8, that deals with the pharmaceutical development. This guideline is intended to provide a guidance on the content of pharmaceutical development of drug product. That means here he is guiding about the content, how we are going to develop a pharmaceutical dosage form. The main aim of the pharmaceutical development is to design a quality product and its manufacturing process to consistently deliver the intended performance of the product. That means the main aim of this pharmaceutical product development to design a method, to design a manufacturing process by which consistently the same quality or same product or same performance product can be produced. That is called as a pharmaceutical product development. Pharmaceutical development also describe the type of dosage form and formulation that are suitable for intended use. That means there is different variety of dosage forms are available, as you know, solid, liquid, semi-solid, but depending on the type of drug or drug products you are going to use it, drug substance you are going to use it, we have to select or you have to design a appropriate dosage form. That is called as the pharmaceutical development. It gives a information about drug substance, excipient and container closure system. So this pharmaceutical development method or product development method is gives a clear picture or clear idea about its drug substance, excipient and container closure by which we can design a good quality product along with the storage container, which will help to improve the stability of the dosage form. Now Q9, that is called as the quality risk management. When we are doing a work, the risk management is more important, because maybe we don't know, but sometimes all of a sudden maybe some kind of problems it will be arise, and to manage such kind of risk or problems we need quality risk management. This guideline provide a principle and tools for quality risk management. What is the risk, from where it is going to come it, and how we are going to solve it. So this guideline Q9 is giving the complete picture about the principle and tools for the quality risk management that can be applied to all aspects of pharmaceutical quality, including development, manufacturing, distribution. So here what it is telling, this can be utilized in the pharmaceutical process of pharmaceutical product development, like development, manufacturing and distribution, as well as inspection and submission of the report throughout the life cycle of drug substances or drug product. Anytime this risk may be arise, like biotechnological product including the use of raw material, solvent, excipient, packaging material or labeling material. So we should have the proper guideline about the principle and tools how to handle this quality risk management or risk management. That is more important, and it is defining by the Q9 series of ICH. Now Q10 series. Q10, that is quality 10, means pharmaceutical quality system, because some of the methods you have to opt it, some of the system you have to opt it if you want to inbuild the quality. This documentation establishes a new ICH guideline, describe a model for an effective quality management system for a pharmaceutical industry. That means here what it is telling, the three region of ICH, they have combinedly sitting, they have prepared, designed a effective quality management system, or that is called as tripartite guideline. The system is based on the pharmaceutical industry and refer to the quality system. The comprehensive model for an effective pharmaceutical quality system is based on, like example is ISO, International Standard Organization, or that is quality concept including the good manufacturing practice, or that is called as GMP. So this all about the Q series, that is quality series. Now coming to this second product of this ICH guideline, that is safety. So safety means what is telling, the status of safety, or this topic that is mainly relating to the in vitro and in vivo preclinical study to determine the carcinogenicity testing or to determine the genotoxicity of the product. So if you see about this safety guideline or a S series of the ICH guideline, it is subcategorized into S1 to S10, which are containing about the product like carcinogenicity study, genotoxicity, toxicokinetics and pharmacokinetics, toxicity testing, reproductive testing or toxicology, biotechnological product, pharmacology study, immunotoxicology study, non-clinical evaluation for anti-cancer pharmaceuticals, and the last one is photo safety evaluation. So now we will see one by one about the safety guideline. First one is S1, or that is called as safety 1, that is named as carcinogenicity. So S1A to S1C is mainly deals with this carcinogenicity study. So S1A is mainly deals with the need of carcinogenicity study of pharmaceuticals to identify a process to formation of tumors, or that is called as tumorigenic. That means the process by which the formation of tumor will be there. So here what is telling, first of all it deals with the carcinogenicity study. That means why we are going to do this study. That means mainly for the formation of tumors, the potential in the animal, and to assess the relevant risk in the human. That means here we are going to do the test, carcinogenicity test on the animals to reduce the risk in the human beings. So carcinogenicity studies should be performed for any pharmaceutical whose expected to be clinical use is continuous for at least 6 months. So for such kind of product, this safety S1 carcinogenicity studies should be carried out. That means the product which you are going to be used continuously for at least of 6 months, because if you are going to use a product periodically for long days, there may be chances there for the formation of tumor. This document provides a consistent definition of the circumstance under which it is necessary to undertake the carcinogenicity study, how to do the study, what are the risk management or risk factors are there, or the duration of exposure, how many days you have to do the study. Complete details about the guideline for the carcinogenicity study it's mentioned, that is in the S1A. Now coming to this S1B, it mainly deals with the testing for carcinogenicity of pharmaceuticals. That means the document it provides the guidance on the need to carry out the carcinogenicity study in both mice as well as rat. So as in the S1A it is indicated that you want to avoid the risk in the human, so you are going to test on the animal. So S1B it is telling that only mice or only rat is not sufficient for the testing of the carcinogenicity, so you have to do the test in both mice as well as rat, and also give the guidance to give an alternative testing procedure which may be applied for the jeopardizing safety. So alternative how we can utilize less number of animals, that is also giving the guidelines. And the last one is S1C in the S series safety series carcinogenicity, that is selection of dose for carcinogenicity study of pharmaceutical. What dose we have to select. This document addresses the criteria for selection of the high dose to be used in carcinogenicity study, because when you are going to select a dosage form or dose, there may be dose will vary from depending on the things, maybe 75, maybe 150, or maybe 500 mg. So here what is telling, when you are going to perform the carcinogenicity study, we have to select always the higher dose for the maximum therapeutic effect in the animal, by which you can check the carcinogenicity, that is in the S1. Now coming to this S2, that is called as genotoxicity. So this guidelines or guidance of genotoxicity is mainly it deals with the chemical agent that damage the genetic information within the cell, which cause the mutation or which may lead to the cancer. So the data interpretation for the pharmaceutical intended for human use, the guidance is combination of S2A and S2B. So S2A is giving the guidance on specific aspect of regulatory genotoxicity testing of pharmaceutical. That means it is giving the regulatory aspect. The document provides a specific guidance and the recommendation for in vitro and in vivo test and on the evaluation of test result. It includes the term related to genotoxicity, about its improvement, about its consistency in application. So here this S2A is giving complete detail about the regulatory aspect towards the genotoxicity study. Now coming to this S2B, it deals with the standard veterinary force genotoxicity testing for pharmaceutical. So this document addresses two fundamental areas of genotoxicity testing. These are, first one is identification of standard set for the assay. Second one is to be conducted for the registration purpose, and the second one is confirmation of or confirmatory of experimentation in any particular genotoxicity assay in standard battery. That means here what is telling, how to perform the study, you have to identify the standard set first, how it will be helpful for the registration process. Next, the registration of pharmaceuticals requires a comprehensive assessment in their genotoxic potential. It is clear that no single test is capable for detecting all relevant genotoxic agent. Therefore, it is useful to approach that to carry out the in vitro as well as in vivo test for the genotoxicity. So here it is telling that only one method is not suitable for the assessment of genotoxic potential. So for that reason, it is prescribing in the S2 category of genotoxicity a guideline that you have to perform in vitro as well as in vivo test for the genotoxicity. Next, the purpose of this guidance is to optimize the standard genetic toxicology battery for the prediction of potential human risk and for the interpretation of result. The main important is to optimize the standard methods which will help us to maintain the human risk as well as the interpretation of result, how we can go for the conclusion with the ultimate goal to improve the risk characterization of carcinogenicity effect. Now S3 is indicating about the toxicokinetics and pharmacokinetics. That means the pharmacological effect of the drug into the body. So here it is telling about the assessment of systemic exposure in toxic study. ICH guideline do not require the toxicokinetic study to be conducted normally except in some cases, like example is pregnant or lactating animal before initiating the reproductive study. So normally what it is telling, ICH is telling that this toxicokinetic or pharmacokinetic study is not necessary for the normal process, but it is necessary when like pregnant or lactating animals for reproductive studies. In such cases it is more important. In this context, the toxicokinetic is defined as a generation of pharmacokinetic data either as an integral component in conduct of non-clinical toxicology study or in specially designed to supportive study in order to assess the systemic exposure. Here in this study is mainly it is designed to check that what are the systemic exposures or what are the effects are going to be happen in the body due to this drug. This document is mainly give the guidance for developing test strategy in toxicokinetic and also needs to integrate this pharmacokinetic into toxicity testing in order to aid the interpretation of toxicology findings and their relevance clinical safety issue. So here this test is mainly the guidelines is giving that how to do the toxicokinetic study or how you can take some kind of precautions to avoid this toxicity or how you can interpret the data or how you can take some precautions for the clinical safety issue. That is called as the S3 guidelines of ICH. Now S3B, previous one is first one is S3A, second one is S3B. So S3B is telling about the pharmacokinetic guidance for repeated dose tissue distribution study. That means how the drug it is distributing throughout the tissue and how it is effective. So tissue distribution studies are essential in providing information on distribution and accumulation of the compound, as well as along with this distribution and accumulation, metabolism also is more important, especially in the relation to the potential site of action. So this pharmacokinetic study or this dose tissue distribution study is giving an idea about the distribution of drug, accumulation of drug, metabolism of drug, as well as the potential site for the drug action. This information maybe it will be useful for designing the toxicology as well as the pharmacological study for the interpretation result. This document mainly gives a guidance when the repeated dose we are going to take it for a particular dosage form, about its tissue distribution, about its when it is appropriate data can be derived from the source. All these things it is helpful. So all these studies can be carried out by this S3 categories B, that is called as the pharmacokinetic study. Next one is safety, that is called as the S4 or that is called as the toxicity testing. So toxicity testing, what is telling, it is a duration of chronic toxicity testing in animal by rodent or non-rodent testing method. The objective of this guidance is to set out the consideration that applying the chronic toxicity testing in rodent and non-rodent is a part of the safety evaluation product. That means here we are going to check about the toxicity study on the animals by two methods, that is called as a rodent toxicity testing, second one is non-rodent toxicity testing. So the initial difference between this rodent and non-rodent is that the study period for this rodent is 6 month duration and the non-rodent is mainly for the 9 month. And nominally this non-rodent toxicity testing is carried out only on the animal, these are mice and rat, and non-rodent is telling that along with this mice and rat also we can use some other animals also for the testing of toxicity. That is called as the S4. Next is S5, that is called as the reproductive toxicology. So detection of toxicity to reproduction for medical product and toxicity to male fertility. This document provides the guidance on test for the reproductive toxicity. It defines the period of treatment, how many days you have to be treated to be used for the animal, to better reflection human exposure to medical product, allow to more specific identification of the strategy at risk. That means is mainly discussing or indicating about the time duration for the treatment by which it can give a better reflection or effect of human exposure when it will be exposed to human. It should be encourage the full assessment on the safety of chemical on the development of offspring. That means it should be complete the data, you should go for the full assessment data. Now safety is S6, that is mainly related with the biotechnological product. It mainly deals with the preclinical safety evaluation of biotechnological product. So this document is mainly cover about the preclinical safety testing requirement for the biotechnological product. It is addressed that when you are going to use the animal models to determine when the genotoxicity assay or carcinogenicity studies should be performed to impart the antibody formation on duration of toxicological study. The primary goal of these preclinical safety evaluations are to find out the initial safe dose and subsequent dose, to identify the potential target organ, and to for the study of whether such toxicity is reversible or non-reversible, or to identify the safety parameters of the clinical monitoring. S7 is mainly dealing with the pharmacology study for the pharmaceutical products on the human beings. These guidelines was developed to protect the clinical trial participants and patients receiving the marketed product for potential adverse effect of the pharmaceutical. This guideline is mainly designed or it is implemented to protect the human beings or the patient, those who are going to participate in the clinical trial. So this document addresses the identification, objective and scope of the safety pharmacological study. It also addresses which studies are needed before initiation of phase 1 clinical study as well as the information needed for the marketing. That means when you are going for this phase 1 clinical study, before that what kind of study or what kind of test should be carried out for the pharmaceutical product. Now here this S7B, it is indicating about the non-clinical evaluation of the potential for delayed the ventricular repolarization, that means QT interval prolongation. So this guideline describes the non-clinical testing strategy for assessing the potential of the test substance to delay the ventricular repolarization. So that is QT response. This guideline includes the information concerning the non-clinical assay and integrated risk assessment. That is about the S7 or that is pharmacological study. Next one is S8, that mainly deals with the immunotoxicological study. So this guideline mainly address the recommendation on the non-clinical testing of immunosuppressant. What is immunosuppressant? The drug that is suppress the immune response of an individual. The guideline might also apply to drug in which the clinical sign of immunosuppression are observed during the clinical trials and following the approval for market. So for such kind of product which are observed that it is suppressing the immune response of an individual during the clinical trial, for such kind of drugs it is mainly important. The term immunotoxicity means it is telling that the study of toxicity by the foreign substance which will affect the immune system. In this guideline it will be preliminary referred to immunosuppression. S9 that mainly deals with the non-clinical evaluation for anti-cancer pharmaceutical product. This guideline provides information for pharmaceuticals that are only intended to treat cancer in the patient with late stage or advanced stage. The route of administration, about the molecules, about the size, and about its type and timing of non-clinical study in relation to the development of anti-cancer pharmaceutical and reference other guideline appropriate. These guidelines aim to facilitate the accelerate the development of anti-cancer pharmaceutical product to protect the patient from the unnecessary adverse effect. So nominally this non-clinical evaluation means evaluation of pharmaceutical product which are used for the cancer treatment at the last stage. So this guideline is mainly detecting the process or for the development of anti-cancer drug as well as the protecting the patient from the adverse effect. And the last one is about the S10, there is photo safety evaluation. This guideline provide the information for photo safety testing strategy for pharmaceutical. That means it applies to new active pharmaceutical ingredient as well as the new excipient or clinical formulation for use in the dermal application as well as maybe for the photodynamic therapy product. So that means this S10 is mainly deals with the guidelines for the photo safety. That means how we can protect our product from the photo light. So this all about this product of ICH guideline. These are Q and S, that is quality and safety. There is quality Q1 to Q10 and safety S1 to S10. This is all the detail about the quality and safety. So hope my video will help you to gain some knowledge about the work product of the ICH. That means more important are the quality and safety. How we can inbuild the quality to of our product, means how we can inbuild the quality into the product and how we can make more safe for the product for the human use. That deals with this quality guideline, that is Q guideline, and safety guideline, that is S guideline. So these are my references from where I collected the details of this Q series guideline as well as the S series guideline. So these are the references are mainly it is obtained from this ICH guideline only. It's from the main homepage of the main website only. You can refer to all these links which are mentioned below. Hope you like this video and don't forget to subscribe and like my channel, that is Edu Knowledge Hub. If you are having any problems or any doubt, you can contact me to the direct mail ID, that is dharmadip.patnaik@gmail.com, or else you can write in the comment section of my channel, that is Edu Knowledge Hub. Thank you.